Okay, dear friends, let's go on to the next section of our interior strategies. Thank you so much for expressing. Look how deeply it's affecting all of us. And I think for even the strongest of us, it's taking us to really deep places inside of us. And that's really, really nutritive from a spiritual point of view, but it's not pleasant until we've resolved these facets of ourselves that we're living with, which are these difficult emotions. So during the meditation, we're going to work through some of these emotions and see how we can use the meditative practices or different practices, because not all of us feel super attracted just to sit and meditate. Maybe for others, it's some kind of spiritual movement, some kind of spiritual exercise. Maybe it's yoga, tai chi, qigong, maybe it's martial arts or dance, So let's go now into the creative segment of our workshop. And let's think about how we can create. If we're going through difficult emotional times, this can really, really help us. This can help us to feel better. This can help us to take care of these emotions. So I want to make a really beautiful reference to Plato in the Banquet. And he talks about in the Banquet in his book, he talks about Socrates. And Socrates is making a dialogue, and Socrates is talking about a priestess called Diotima. And Diotima is this ancient priestess, and her contribution in this ancient text is that she said that all of us are born pregnant, inclusively men. We're born pregnant with poetic acts and virtues. All of us are born with poetic acts inside of us and virtues. What do you think of that, friends? That's extraordinary. This means that we are born creative. And look how we create. I mean, just the field of creativity and all the different ways that it's exploded in the last few years is extraordinary in business and life, family, in even the most simple ways. Working in the garden, even the simple things are an opportunity to create in beautiful ways, and how important it is in these times to go back to these meditative, mindful, simple actions. So let's explore together creativity in life. I want to ask you, and I want you to think about it, because in a minute we're going to write it down. What is my soul calling me to create in this time of retreat? What is my soul calling me to create in this time of retreat? Interesting, isn't it, that question? And what activities will create freedom? What activities that I can participate in my home are going to help me to feel free? Okay, so let's think about it. Let's think of like really, really simple things. Maybe some of us are attracted to be artists, to draw, to paint. Maybe some of us just love music, to put music on and to dance. That's a creative act. So let's talk about simple things. Does that make me happy? Am I happy when I put music on and I dance? Or just I sit and I have a cup of something hot and I'm listening to a beautiful piece of music. I'm contemplating the music. Does that make me feel free? Yes. Then make time for that. It's important that we make time for these creative acts. And you must, because this is a time to heal. We are all going through collective trauma, individual and collective trauma, fears, anxieties. We're faced with our mortality. That's what we hear from the group today. That means that we need and we deserve to take time for ourselves, to take care of ourselves beyond work, beyond just going through the humdrum movements, of preparing the food, cleaning the house, etc., etc. These actions we can transform also with yogic concentration, but let's think about specific time what would I like to do? Ishwar, I'm going to share something really, really cute that Ishwar and I have started to do. We've started to dance every day. Even if it's just for 5 minutes in the middle of, working through everything, we put music on and we just start to dance and we feel so free. Maybe sometimes we don't feel like it. And there are times when it's been very solemn too. And there have been times when I've just wanted to sit and read or write or rest or watch a movie, So let's make time for these creative expressions. And writing is really, really important. Julia Cameron, some of you, The Way of the Artist, some of you have read this book. Now, writing in these times, especially when we're afraid, when we're concerned, we have these emotions, write down, express it. You need to express it. If not, talk about it. Bring air into these emotions. When you talk about it, you're bringing life and you're expressing. The expression, the creative expression is really, really fundamental. So I really invite you to do that. Do you like that so far? You like these ideas? Can I see your hands? I don't see them. There we go. Okay. Okay, super, super. Perfect. Okay, and the other way that we're going to create is through meditative actions, okay? Now that we're at home, I do invite you to make time to meditate. Even if for you that would mean sitting down and looking at a tree or a bird. Maybe you don't feel completely attracted to go into closing your eyes and going into an inner meditation, but make time to stop and just to be, okay? There's some concepts that are really beautiful in Zen, especially sasen, which is going into the meditation or this contemplative time without expectations of anything. Just being, don't put pressure on yourself. Just make a time to be. Doesn't that sound great? We have, Ishwara used this beautiful metaphor yesterday about how we're going through a collective storm. And when you imagine a storm and it's torrential and you're outside and it's raining and all of a sudden you get in the house and you close the door and your clothes are wet, but there's a warm hearth. And there's a fire going, you take off your clothes, you shower, you get cozy clothes on, you have a hot drink, and you're there. That sweet moment when you're there in front of the fire, we can see it, right? We can create it every single day. So create it, make yourself a drink and sit. Don't expect, just be. Okay? So that's a creative act in itself. And finally, just one more reflection. I've been reading a lot of Ramana Maharishi, which is, of course, he's one of the great masters of Vedanta philosophy. And he says we have to be able to look into the mind to be able to go to the origin of the mind. So in your meditations, close your eyes and look into your mind and then try to direct your attention to the origin of the mind. Very gently. And if your mind keeps going, don't worry. Take it back, reset, and go back. And take yourself back with a lot of relaxation, this beautiful balance between demanding or looking for something and relaxing a meditation. Okay? So that is what I have to say to you for the creation. So let's do our writing exercise now, which is the second part of this creative part. What is my soul calling me to create in this retreat? I'm going to say, what is my soul calling me to create in this retreat? So write down any answer, the first thing that comes to your mind. And what activities will create freedom for myself? What activities can I do to create freedom for myself?